What's good with YouTube? A conference perspective. It's your boy Flacco coming live and direct with a little bit of energy. As you can see, I'm at the airport awaiting my flight. I got my chinate, so I don't have to wear my mask right now as I drink it. And we're gonna get straight to it, man. We got a little bit insight, man, in personal experience, man, about the next case that we're gonna be talking about. Me personally, I know a lot of these individuals. I've worked with a lot of these individuals, and I functioned under a lot of these individuals. We're gonna be talking about Operation Valley Star. Rojo, you got a case that you pulled up, man. Let's get to it, brother.
Yeah, this is from FBI.gov actually. And before we start, hey, did you hear Sacramento and Los Angeles are both going back to all indoor masks coming up?
Oh wow.
Just in a few days, man, because of that Delta variant of the COVID. LA got more than like 1,000 cases in a set time frame, and everybody's going to be, Sacramento was the first one, and then LA, man. And I think it starts on the 17th, man, that they're going to require masks again out in public, indoor, shopping and stuff like that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll jump into this though, man. I thought I'd just bring that up for those of you guys who haven't heard it. But this is from FBI.gov, man. This is Operation Valley Star. The title: Nuestra Familia gang member sentenced to more than 31 years in prison for drug trafficking. Robert Hannaran, aka Bubba, 41 of Salinas, was sentenced today by United States District Judge William Shub to 31 years and 3 months in prison for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine and cocaine, United States Attorney Benjamin Wagner announced. According to facts admitted during Hannaran's guilty plea beginning in 2003, he acted as a leader of the Nuestra Familia, a violent prison gang based within the California and federal prison systems, whose members exert control over street-level Norteño gang members engaged in drug trafficking and violent crime. Hannaran oversaw the establishments of street regiments in San Francisco and surrounding Bay Area counties. Hannaran was the primary supplier of methamphetamine and cocaine to the San Francisco regiment between 04 and 05 during the 04 and 05. During the drug conspiracy in August of 04, Salinas police served a state search warrant for controlled substances at a Salinas resident. Inside the residence, officers found Hannaran and 2 pounds of methamphetamine, a pound of cocaine, drug ledgers, 2 digital scales, empty baggies, a stolen .40 caliber, and a 12-gauge shotgun and a rifle. According to the plea agreement, in January of 06, while Hannaran's Salinas drug case was pending, he fled to Mexico. The NF funneled money obtained through drug trafficking to him for living expenses in Mexico, which included high phone bills. Western Union receipts traced the flow of NF drug money from Northern California to Hannaran in Mexico. Ultimately, he was apprehended at the U.S.-Mexican border on November 12th of 06. The case, dubbed Operation Valley Star, is a byproduct of an investigation by the FBI Stockton Violent Crime Task Force, the San Joaquin County Metropolitan Narcotics Task Force, the Stockton Police Department, the Salinas Police Department, the Watsonville Police Department, Monterey County Sheriff, and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation into the activities of the Nuestra Familia. Assistant United States Attorneys Jason Hitt and William S. Wong prosecuted the case. The case and a related indictment have resulted in a number of significant sentences. In April of 10, Manuel Guana was sentenced to more than 21 years. December 13th of 10, Richard Mendoza was sentenced to 17. February of 11, Bismarck Ocampo was sentenced to 28 years. May 25th of 11, the ones who went to trial were sentenced to the following. Larry Amaro, also known as Pocky, was sentenced to 40 years. Ernest Killinger was sentenced to 362 years. Gerardo Mora was sentenced to more than 33 years. Jason Stewart Hansen was sentenced to 25 years. Gabriel Caraccio was sentenced to 25 years. David Ramirez was sentenced to 15. Fernando Villalpando was sentenced to 20 years. Faustino Gonzalez was sentenced to more than 15 years. Oscar Campos Padilla was sentenced to 14 years. Rebecca Guzman, 14 years. Juan Gallegos, 28 years. And Carolyn Huerta, 10 years. I mean, Flacco, I know this was in your era and you know a lot of these guys and you were.
Oh man, look, first and foremost, you got Pinky's wife. You got Powder. We know him as Paul or Pablo, but Ernest Killinger. You got Baki, Larry Amaro. Jason Stewart Hansen. I tell a story when I was in the CMC East Hole, when I took off on that dude Little Loco. He's the dude I was talking about when I talk about Jay from San Mateo.
Right.
Who else did you have right there? Juan Gallegos, Bubba. I functioned under Bubba, Wino, and I worked with Powder personally. I knew Pocky when Pocky got out. Pocky got out, I think, in 03 or 04. And shortly after he got out there, he was given the directives from the feds to oversee all regiments. So if you notice in this indictment, it doesn't really go into his activities. It mainly focuses on Bubba because Bubba got indicted afterwards. But at that time, when the feds guys got sent, they were out there claiming incommunicado at that time. Pocky was. And he was going off the directives that were given to him was for him to oversee the streets. And hold up real quick, got a little background.
We can hear you fine, brother.
And so when all that occurred, he ended up having all these different regiments reporting to him. I mean, I know he was in communication with San Jose at one time, but San Jose was still trying to distance himself because they felt it was like a breach of security. But I know that they were pushing up on them. And see, they were doing a lot of things at that time, man. They had, I think, the G's clothing line out there in Los Baños, which was by Mario Weasel Diaz from Castroville. They had the Metro store out there in Oakland. You know what I'm saying? So they were making big moves.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he was out there for 4 years. Pocky was. You know what I'm saying? And if you notice all these different areas, like Nicoya from San Fran was mentioned as well. Another person I know. I know mostly every name that they mentioned.
Me too.
And they were all from different areas. And so if you notice in this whole indictment, this is during my time era. Nobody was indicted from San Jose because the interactions between San Jose and Salinas were limited at that time. Because San Jose alone had about 7 Cs out there in the streets, just in San Jose at that time. So therefore, there was a power struggle that was starting to brew based upon the directives that Corny and them left. I mean, Corny, Tibbs, and Pinky, when they left to the feds, they gave ultimate authority to Pocky. But we learned from previous times what ended up happening with Ashali and Wino when they left them in charge. Yeah. So there was a whole power struggle that was going on, man. And at that time, the thing that was going on was a lot of politics. You know what I'm saying? They were claiming incommunicado. Okay. What was the last directives that Pocky was given? That he was given authority to see all the streets. So that's where the issues arised at that time. And where you had Charlie Oaks, Peanut from Stockton, who was one informant. You had Mario Weasel Diaz, who flipped. And other people started to flip. Therefore, this just wasn't just a Salinas-based indictment. Right. It was an indictment that occurred all over, man. Gabriel Carachoa, all right, I never say his name right, but that was a close friend of mine, G Money. I was actually doing business with these guys at that time. You know what I mean?
At least you didn't get hit up on that shit.
No, but it was a trip though, man, because I was doing business with G Money because I've known him for years. We were close. I met him through Chico Rose. In fact, when Chico got indicted in Operation Black Widow, I would drive out to Salinas to pick him up and then take him to go see Chico when Chico was in Glenn's Wire holding facility. And so we were doing things on the down low, business transactions and stuff, man. But fortunately for me, I didn't get caught up in that. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
But that whole case, man, like they were doing some big things at that time, man. Like, what I mean? I mean, they went from. It just goes to show, though, man. I mean, Pocky was only out for about 4 years, bro. That was it.
You know what's crazy, bro, is like, man, I was Sellies with Wino. I know him. I know Nicoya. You know what I mean? I know a lot of them cats too. Hey, who did you say had the most tightest security out of all them dudes out there?
Powder.
You know who his maestro was, right?
He was.
Hey, he listened. He got broke off like the most time out of all of them somehow, man. But he was like, man, he was out there doing it the right way. And San Jose's smart for not getting involved in that stuff. That saved them a lot of years.
I worked under Wino, and I could see what you're saying about Wino, about how he acts, all settled. You know what I mean? But when I met him, I thought he looked young, and he dressed like a disco bunny.
He's the same age as me. I think he might actually be a couple months older than me. One of us is a couple months older than the other.
And
No,
Bubba,
he's older than me because I was the second youngest ever. So he was right.
Bubba was, see, that's the thing with Bubba, Robert Hanrahan. I had a working relationship with him in both Quinemos and the streets. We worked together. And Quinemos, when he left to go to Corcoran, he left me his position, which was an honorable thing for me at that time, early in my career. So
Right.
he had a lot of trust in me, and we had a working relationship when I was out there in San Jose when I was under special assignment. So Bubba was the most chill out of all of them. You know
I
what I'm
never
saying?
met him.
He was cool. I mean, put it this way: when I met Chico and all them, they used to call me Little Bubba because they said I looked like him.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So when he came into quitting back in he came to the home when I was getting out in 2002, and so I sent him a kite, and he started laughing because I heard about you. He goes, Boxer's going to get out pretty soon. And so from there, um, he he sent my number to Boxer, and that's how me and Boxer got in contact. Believe it or not, was through Bubba. You know what I mean? Powder, on the other hand, you look at him; he was a little dude, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I couldn't really I didn't see, I met him through Wino Zarowski. You know what I'm saying? And that's when everything was going on with Operation Black Widow. You know what I mean? They didn't know what was going on. And the way that he did his type of security was like, man, he'd meet me at one spot, man. And then when I'd meet up with him, we'd have to go through a whole location, get off the freeway, get on, and then we meet at a whole different location that was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay. One time we had some things going on, some business things, and we would meet out there in Castroville. And when we meet up, what ended up happening is the dude that he would send there, he would tell him not to talk to me. I'd meet up with him, Powder, afterwards.
Right.
So the dude ends up making a comment to me. I ended up telling Powder, he flipped his wig, man. Never seen that dude again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was very discreet in everything in his actions. He wouldn't talk on the phone. He would check for tails. He would do all those type of things, man. So I was kind of shocked to see him get caught up, but then I wasn't, because all it takes is one person.
It don't matter how secure you are. If everyone's not that secure, it's over.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And so let me move real quick. I don't want to interrupt people. Sorry guys, I'm at the airport, so
It's all good, man. Yeah, I was surprised when I looked through all that all the sentences, the amount of time everybody got. Powder got so much more than everybody else, man. I couldn't figure out that why. He got 300 and something years. Everybody else got a grip of time too, but 300 years, boy, they destroyed him.
well, you had both Weasel Flip, and then you had Charlie Oaks, you know what I mean, who was Ashley Jr., you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from there, but like I said, if you look, man, you had people from all over places, and they all took hella time. Even Nicoya took a lot of time, man. I guess Nicoya got hit in the feds. I guess Skip had him hit.
Is that right?
I mean, imagine how that feels, man. Like you get like 28, 30 years, and because you don't see something eye to eye with someone who has higher rank, they just have you hit. You're expelled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, that whole case is a very interesting one, man. Like, it was not at the magnitude of Operation Black Widow because everybody was out there in the streets. But I'd say it was, what's the right wording for it? It was the aftermath of Black Widow when there was no leadership really that was taking control of the streets.
Yeah, it was devastating. Yeah.
I mean, Pocky played the politics right. I mean, because there was no context. Like I've told in other spills, and when the truth filter came out, it kind of affirmed everything that I said in my spills, that Pocky was claiming incommunicado.
Right.
He wanted all the regiments to report to him, and see, those were the directives that came from the feds. You know what I'm saying? And as you know, and I know, the reason why you're not supposed to intermingle with other regiments is a prime example of what happened with Operation Valley Star.
Right.
Because they got hit everywhere, man. And all their businesses got shut. They had businesses they were associated with in Santa Maria, Los Baños, Hollister, and even out there in Oakland.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of funny how East Bay and the Santa Clara are right next to each other, right? But the East Bay was reporting to Salinas. You know what I mean? Pocky ascended his position. And see, that's where all the conflict was going on out there in Santa Clara County, because you had Santa Clara County who wasn't trying to adhere with their policies, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You had Lencho trying to play the politics the way he wanted to play them. You know what I mean? You had other individuals out there as well that, you know what I mean, that were falling under Lencho's lead. I mean, because San Jose is a small community. It's almost like San Jose and Salinas Seas. They used to always be in competition with each other.
Right. No
So it
doubt.
was just a matter of who was out there in the streets. And around that time, there was a lot, and they were recruiting a few of us at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was that power struggle, because I remember what we ended up doing was, this is what I was told specifically, that we're going to reach out to Skip, because Skip was still on the main line. So we were bypassing everything that was coming from this way. And we were trying to play both sides of it. We were trying to honor what the state was saying, but we were trying to honor what the feds was saying, because no one wanted to get caught.
All right, my bad.
So everybody was basically pacifying, like they were playing both sides, man. I mean, the state hadn't asserted themselves, because at that time they had put everybody, I want to say around 2006, they put everybody in what you call the short corridor. I
Right.
actually got a filter from them, and that was cutting off communications to where they weren't getting directives out for 3 to 6 months. And it had to be coded by then. And then codes changed, people get locked up. So communication was halted,
Yeah. The
You know what I'm
feds
saying?
were right there in Santa Rita.
you know, and the same thing with the guys that got sent to the feds.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember, this is 2006, 2007.
Yeah. That's when they had them locked.
You know, Corning and all them were already locked in, you know, whatever that, the ADX, whatever. So they had no communication. So what you had out there is you had people campaigning and maneuvering against each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why a few people who got deemed around that time, I always questioned how valid they were. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not as familiarized with all the articles of the Constitution, right? But I do know from what I read that there is security measures that can be put into effect based upon any type of incommunicado.
Right.
So if there's no authority positions, that nobody that of a higher authority that you can channel this information, these reports, you're given a limited power to make these decisions. And
Right.
this is what was going on with Pocky, and this is what was going on with Lencho. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were trying to they had a little power struggle that was going on, man. I mean, I mentioned it before. You actually had some individuals that were from the East Bay, one from Livermore, and Gonzo and Nick from Campanamos from Hayward. They were told by Powder when they went to one of the businesses out there in San Jose, Morgan Hill area, that I'm going in there. If it goes all bad, you guys come in and start blasting. They were trying to say to the president that you guys are going to report over here now.
Right.
That's what was really going on out there in the streets, and people don't understand that. It was crazy times, man. And like for myself and others, you know what I mean, that were out there in the middle of this, what are we supposed to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a
these same
bad
people,
position. It's a bad position to be
you know
in.
what I mean?
Bro. Horrible.
Especially for me, what was bad was I'm over here in San Jose, but I have a closer relationship to these dudes in Salinas, but I have to fall and file here. You know what I mean? And Salinas is keeping their security so tight. I'm not knowing what was going on. I actually got a call one time from Gabe, drunk as hell. We were supposed to go to an oldie show. I got sick, and he's like, man, I don't care that you're over there with those guys. You know what I mean? You're still my loved one. I'm thinking, what the hell's really going on? Is there this much conflict going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, there were still interactions with each other, but there was a lot of hate. There was a lot of secret hate. A lot of competition was going on, man. And I think that was a downfall there, is everybody was trying to push, instead of being discreet, like how you mentioned it,
Yeah.
everybody was trying to establish more power. They were trying to do bigger things, and they got too ahead of the game, and they had too many leaks. Next thing you know, this is how everybody faltered at that time.
Yeah, when you're dysfunctioning in the regiment, like I feel bad for like all the bros out there, or all like the new recruits, or even the regular Norteños that were functioning. Man, if you're siding, and you're not even siding, bro, you're just following who's above you. Whether it's let's just say it's San Jose and Salinas, right? If you're in San Jose and you're listening to the San Jose guys, and the Salinas dudes try to tell you something, you're going to get deemed for not following authority. If you don't listen to the guys you're supposed to be under, and you listen to the other guys, you're going to get deemed for not following authority. It's a no-win situation for everybody, bro. Every single person in that regiment is at risk.
And if you see a breach of security, they don't care about your security. You get jeopardized.
No, they don't give a
You know
damn.
what I'm saying? I mean, why do you think? Why do you think people keep on flipping and doing whatever they do, man?
Yeah.
That's why on the other video we talked about, when you're on the lower of the totem pole, or middle, middle of authority rank, right? You know, and I know, man. Unless you're one of those captains, you know what I'm saying, or actually an SRC out there in the streets, you ain't really got no power out there. You're still answering to somebody, and the politics get corrupt.
Yeah.
And when you start to use your manpower, and they don't see no benefits from what they're doing, only the consequences for following directives, you're going to have people that are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to look after their best interest, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just the
Yeah.
corruption that happens within. You
Yeah,
know?
you could be doing what you think is right by following instructions, but those aren't really the authorized instructions to follow. And you look like you're picking sides, like I'm on this side, when it's really, man, you're just trying to do the right thing according to your schooling. You know what I mean? And then you end up getting, put in the hat
Yeah,
for
but you
some
can't even
stuff
do
that you
that.
have no control over.
That's the truth, though. You can't even do that, bro.
Yeah.
You can't even though if you know something's wrong, they tell you you should speak up for your rights, know your due process,
Shit.
know your laws. It doesn't work that way. I
No,
went through that.
You get your cat
You know
peeled.
what I mean? I ended up speaking out against people, man. And you know what? And I was in the right. What happened? I got backlash over it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So my attitude was F these dudes. You know what I mean?
no doubt.
You're gonna do me wrong, you're gonna be cutthroat with me. I could be even way more cutthroat with you. That's just the reality of it, man. And it's the same thing with this Operation Valley Star, man. I mean, I know a lot of these dudes though, man. That's the difference that I noticed, man, is within them, there was less gossiping. They kept everything a little bit more discreet. But you don't know how the others are going to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you have your branches out to where you're here, if there's a breakage anywhere, it's going to make that whole tree. It's going to kill the whole tree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
This is security.
Yeah, they kicked off the another indictment like right where I'm from around the same time, man. And I was reading about it, like it was right in the same time frame. Got like 138 pounds of crystal, and man, they were seizing boats and dope cars, and man, that was a really rough little couple years when the whole Fed and state conflict was in its beginning stages. You know what I mean? Everybody was on a different page. You know what I mean?
yeah, man, there was so much confusion. You know what I mean? Like, think about when you go back in there, though. You know what I'm saying? When I went back in there, I wanted to get out so fast. I was like, man, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm going through Corcoran, bro, in 2006, bro. And I'm getting got at by all the C's out there to find out who's the regiment commander there. Can I find out? I don't want that responsibility, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I go, it depends who you're loyal to. I told him,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because you had one side, you had Silver, then on the who'd been the RC for a minute. Then you had Sombras on the other hand.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just how kind of struggles that you had.
Yeah, I
out there.
remember that little kind of funky time in Corcoran too, when those two weren't quite seeing eye to eye. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that had to do. Well, see, that had to do with who do you think? How do you think Wino? I mean, what's his name? Ashley got sent out to the streets because he went through Corcoran, and Wino gave him that authority.
Right.
I heard that straight from both their mouths. I heard that from Ashley's mouth and Wino's mouth. And so when everybody got indicted, there was a whole lot of issues, man. Like that, certain people were placing themselves in position without a vote. You know what I'm saying? You had dudes that started to assert their positions up there in the Bay that shouldn't have been doing that. And so that was the secret politics were going on, man.
Then they blame it on being incommunicado.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And trying to do what's best. Yeah.
And so from what I was told that, there was people speaking out saying, there has to be a voting process. Not just you and your cell are going to decide this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're
That's
supposed
how
to
a lot of stuff was happening in them back alley little meetings.
I mean, you're supposed to get a votage of at least all the three captains, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a vacuum effect where they weren't even existing.
That stuff hasn't happened since before Black
So
Women.
I mean, so let me ask you. So if all the captains have been indicted, who's going to take the vote? Who do you vote? Who do you have vote?
Well, I mean, automatically the people
Get all the cat threes, right?
I mean, automatically everybody would bump up to fill those positions. There's supposed to be, procedures in place that'll bump regular cat threes into the captain positions. No matter what happens, there's always supposed to be a void filled. But man, that was they took so many people that it was almost impossible to fill that void.
That's where the politics came in effect. So if you're there and say you've been demoted to Cat 1, like say Dancing Bear or Conejo,
right.
You're over here with Chuco and them trying to make a move, right? In Stork, and you're a Cat 1, and you've been in the game for a while, like Conejo and DB.
Right.
That's where the politics come into effect. Okay, let's side over here. Let's push this agenda. And limited Cat 1s and Cat 2s that have been in the game, they're not going to really have no voice in that, man.
No, they're going to be scared to have a voice.
They're going to be scared.
Yeah.
So they have to pacify both sides until their number's called. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a rough time frame, bro. It's been rough ever since Black Widow, bro. Black Widow, it still isn't back.
Bro, I haven't even discussed all the filters I've seen, all the reports I've seen, all the complaints, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was entrusted with a lot of that stuff. I seen that stuff word for word, man. And
Yeah.
a lot of it I won't touch base on here because it doesn't serve no purpose, bro. To the listener out there, our whole message is to try to stop people from making those decisions, man. But I've seen some crazy stuff, some crazy reports, man, that would just blow your mind.
Yeah, me too, man. I used to get them straight from Tibbs. I know. Like, really?
know?
That's crazy, man. All right, man. I guess that does it for Valley Star, man. We'll touch on some other indictments and all that kind of stuff. But we thought this was interesting just because, I was actually Sally's with Wino for a while when we were with Tibbs in DC. You know what I mean? I trained Powder, on street functions, you know what I mean, back in when he first got pulled. And Flacco has this relationship with a lot of them people, man. So we could kind of speak on it from a more of a personal point of view, knowing these dudes and their get downs and, knowing the politics of what was happening at that point in time. But we'll be touching on some more of these cases, man, over the next few days. And yeah, well, anyway, Flacco, enjoy your flight, my brother. Hope you have a nice, safe flight. Get there. And I guess you're going to be going live pretty soon for the people.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going live, checking in with everybody.
So it's actually July 15th. That's the day today is, man, when we're recording this. It's 5 o'clock. So look out for Flacco, man. He's going to be going live. And y'all have a good one, man.